Shabbat Shalom, honor and glory and power and thanksgiving and blessing be to the only true God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God who only chose one nation, who is the Most High. His name given to us is Yahuwah, the creator of everything that exists, the origin of what is life, the origin of righteousness and truth and perfection, where understanding comes from, where knowledge originates, who sits on a throne not made with human hands, not touched by sin. Father Yahuwah, the Father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Father of all of us, his children. And glory and power and honor be to the Son of Man, Yahuwah Shai, Messiah, picked, chosen, and anointed by Father Yah, and exalted to stand before Yah without sin, and having us, his brethren, in him, as he is within the most holy of the Father, without sin, on our behalf, that we might obtain the perfection of righteousness, that we might obtain the coverage from sin, that we might obtain understanding, knowledge, wisdom, that we might bring glory to his Father and our Father by obedience to his covenant and his word. Greetings to the 144,000 and the nation of Israel scattered into the four corners of the earth through oppression and slavery, according to the prophecies of this book. Scattered as the chosen people of the Most High Father Yah and Messiah, our cousin, Yahuwah Shai. Chosen but scattered because of the sins of worshiping other gods, and now returning to Father Yah. Greetings. Greetings also to the Gentiles who early in this process, as we are now closing in the last years of Babylon's existence, have chosen through Father Yah and Messiah to receive the perfection of righteousness of Father Yah and to be grafted into the scattered flock of Israel. Greetings. Greetings to the chat. Sister Cross, Isha Shaman, Brother Shaman, Akmar, Brother Gary Joseph, April Buck, Brother Joe Curry, Hebrew is Rhonda, Brother, Sister Naisha, Nasha, Wade, and husband and children, Naviska 23 and family, Yakoba, Brother Superstar, the husband, and all. Greetings. We're going into a very deep subject tonight. The chapter itself is not that long, Deuteronomy 16, and yet it's going to take us into a lot of places very important to us, brethren, because we're going to be studying about the feasts. We're going to be studying about the feasts, brethren. And it's very important because the feasts have deep meaning and prophetic meaning to Yah's chosen, not to the earth, to Yah's chosen. This is an example of what the Bible speaks when it speaks in the book of Revelation, Revelation chapter 1 and verse 1, the revelation of Messiah Yahuwah Shai, which Yah gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant Yachanan, who bare record of the word of Yah and of all things which he saw. That premise, that template, is the exact same template as the feasts. Please, brethren, read your Bible. If what I said just now is true, we should know right now that in the earth, there's confusion about the feasts. There's deception about the feasts. And the reason, one of the main reasons for the confusion and deception is people are not reading their Bible. When I say read, I don't mean just read a psalm or a chapter. I mean read this book. Start in Genesis and go through the Revelation. It will take you about a year. And when you have finished, you will be blessed. The Father will bless your efforts. He will change your life. And when you're done, read it again and keep reading it. That way, you will be protected from the deceptions that run through the earth. And you will have an understanding of what has been given to you. You see, brethren, one of the curses of the chosen people of Israel is that we would forget who we are, that we would be what's called in the Bible the hidden ones, that we would forget our names, our heritage, and our God. But the promise, of course, is he would not forget us. That's the promise. He would not forget us. In fact, let's take a look at that. Leviticus chapter 26. Leviticus chapter 26. Is that what I want? Yes. Leviticus chapter 26. Leviticus 26. I'm going to begin in Leviticus 26. And it's talking about us. I'm going to begin at verse 40, talking about us. And it's going to tell us how we can escape the situation we're in. What situation are we in? In the United States of America and in other places, but United States of America, and mostly because this is the centerpiece of all of the judgments that's going to start falling and have already started falling. This is also the centerpiece of where Judah is now. In the United States of America, this country is wealthy. One of the wealthiest countries in the entire planet. And the basis, the foundation of its wealth is 300 years of free labor on the backs of Hebrews. That's how it got wealthy. Now, today you look at all kinds of technology and Wall Street and industry, and you see these industrial titans. All of them would not be around if it wasn't for 300 years of free labor from the Hebrews. The wealth would not exist. And that, brethren, is because we worshiped other gods. That's our predicament. And now there is a legacy. There is a legacy that exists right now from those 300 years of slave labor. And that legacy, we have forgotten our identity. We've forgotten our names, or our names were taken from us. We've taken the gods and the names of our slave masters. And we are lost and damned in our enemies' lands that we built for them. Now, going to see here how we're going to get out of it. Leviticus chapter 26, beginning at verse 40 and going down to verse 46. If they, that is us, shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers. First, what do we need to do? Confess our iniquity. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of Yah. Not only that, the iniquity of our fathers. Yes, we are here in this position because of our sins and the sins of our fathers. What is the father's sin? It's the same as us. All of us have broken Yah's covenant. And the first of the covenant Thou shalt have no other gods before me. We have broken it, and our fathers have broken it. And so he's saying, if they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers, with their trespass which they trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me. Yes, that's our confession. He's given to us. We've walked contrary to the Father Yah and to his word, as our fathers have done. And that I also have walked contrary unto them. Yes, he did, obviously, putting us into 300 years of slavery. More than that, actually, when you include slavery before we got to these shores, the slavery of the sub-Saharan slave trade, along with other countries like Brazil, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Cuba, all and more. Central America, all. South America, all. The northern tribes, as well as the tribe of Judah, for hundreds and hundreds of years. He's walked contrary to us. And I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies, if then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity. Then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. The land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy her Sabbaths, while she lieth desolate without them. And they shall accept of the punishment of their iniquity, because they despise my judgments, because their soul abhorred my statutes. And yet, for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away. Neither will I abhor them to destroy them utterly and to break my covenant with them. For I am Yahuwah, their most high. See, he remembers us because he knows who he is. We may not know who we are, but he knows who he is. He's our God. But I will, for their sakes, remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt in the sight of the heathen, that I might be their most high. I am Yahuwah. These are the statutes and judgments and laws which Yahuwah made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses. These are the statutes and judgments and laws that Yahuwah made by the hand of Moses. You see, brethren? You see? This is how we get out of this situation. This is the awakening that's now taking place, and this is why it is taking place, because the Father is bringing the Spirit to us, and we are now awakening to who we really are. And in awakening to who we are now returning back. You see, we're getting knowledge of ourselves. Isaiah chapter 49. Isaiah chapter 49, beginning at verse 14. Isaiah chapter 49, beginning at verse 14. I'm going to start at verse 14, and we'll read from verse 14 to verse 18. But Zion said, Yahuwah hath forsaken me, and my master hath forgotten me. Can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee. Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hands. Thy walls are continually before me. Thy children shall make haste. Thy destroyers that made thee waste shall go forth of thee. Lift up thine eyes round about, and behold, all days gather themselves together and come to thee. As I live, saith Yahweh, thou shalt surely clothe thee with them all, as with an ornament, and bind them on thee as a bride doeth. Yes. We are on the palms of the hands of the Messiah. He can never forget us. So now he is awakening us and showing us the way that we should go. Now, there are things, because he is our God, because he has chosen no other people but us, according to this word. Because of that, brethren, because of that, there are things that he gave us that he gave nobody else as a nation. Now, let's talk about the Sabbath for a minute. We're going to talk about feasts today. The Sabbath is not a feast. The Sabbath was given in terms of the feast of Yahuwah. The Sabbath was given to Adam in the Garden of Eden. But later on, 2,000 years later, it was given to Abraham's offsprings as a nation. See, it was given to Adam as the son of Yah, because that's who he was. But it was given to the nation of Israel as a nation. It was never given to any other nation like that. It was given to the nation of Israel. The Sabbath is for rest, as it says. In fact, let's look at it in Exodus chapter. We read it in Deuteronomy. We're going to go back to Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20 from verses 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Holy means set apart. So the seventh day Sabbath is set apart from every other day. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. So whatever you do to do what you do on the other 6 days, not the set apart day. Okay. So when you working, you work all the time. You do your thing. You go here, you go there, you do whatever you do. But on the seventh day, you set that apart. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah thy Most High. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates. So on the seventh day, you don't go and work anywhere. You rest as a memorial to Father Yah. We'll talk about how you do that in a moment. It's not complicated. We talked about this earlier last week, but let's continue. Why? Verse 11. For in 6 days Yahuwah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Why? Because he created things that exist as inanimate objects over the course of 6 days. On the seventh day, he created a block of time to memorialize himself as the creator. So we decide to set aside a block of time for him, right? What do we do on that day? Do we just sit around? Do we just pray? What do we do on that day? We don't work. What we do, though, is we enjoy. We rest. It's rest. Father rested. Wait a minute. Let me give you an example. Job, bet you didn't know you can look up the Sabbath in Job, did you? You know how you would know how to do that, right? You know what you would do. You would read it. You would read Job. That's how you would know. You would read it. Okay, Job chapter 38. Job chapter 38. We're talking about the Father being the creator, right? Having created everything in 6 days and then rested the seventh day. Well, let me show you about the seventh day. Ready? Then Yahuwah answered Job, from verse 1 down to verse 7. Job chapter 38 from 1 to 7. Then Yahuwah answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare, if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of Yah shouted for joy. What did they do on the Sabbath? When they saw everything that he did, they shouted for joy. What is the Sabbath? It is a day of joy. You say, well, how do you joy on that? How you do that? Well, I want you to, try to reach people where they are, right? I'm trying to do it with this example. I'm going to try to reach you where you are with this example. You ready? Now, when you was growing up, if you was in the United States of America or any so-called developed nations and even undeveloped nations, even if you were in so-called third world countries, did y'all treat Christmas different than the rest of the days? Did you? Think about it. Be honest now. It's all right. So when Christmas Day came, did y'all treat it differently? Tell me now, was there an excitement in the air that Christmas was coming? Did your family make a special meal for everybody to get together? Was everybody saying Merry Christmas and everybody was hugging each other? Guess what? That's exactly how we keep the Sabbath. That's how we do it. Get a special meal, make the special meal. You're saying Happy Sabbath, Shabbat Shalom. You're getting together. You're festive. You're not worried about. Nobody on Christmas talks about their bills, do they? Do they talk about, man, I hate my job? Not on Christmas. You're laughing. You're joyful, and you're not worried about going to work. Not on Christmas. You're not going to work. Even the mailman gets Christmas off. That's the Sabbath. See the honor they give to St. Nicholas and white Santa Claus, white fat Santa Claus? We give that honor every week on the seventh day to Father Yah. See how that works? See how that is? Isn't that easy? Now, the Sabbath, because in the Bible, it's a lunar calendar. When I say lunar, what does that mean? That means they don't go from sunrise to sunrise. A day in the Bible is from sunset to sunset. So that generally speaking, and this is on the equator, and so we kind of use that as a model, the time on the equator. Why do I say that? Because on the equator, all year round is 12 hours for day and 12 hours for night. Generally, and it could be off by a minute or so, but generally sun rises at 6 a.m. and sets at 6 p.m. Okay, generally that's how it works. So at sunset on Friday, generally around 6 p.m., of course, we're away from the equator, so it could be longer and shorter depending on where you are. But I'm just using you as a litmus. But I'm saying generally at 6 p.m. on Friday, the Sabbath begins. That's when you start to rest. And then you rest all the way until 6 p.m. on Saturday night. Y'all got that? It's pretty easy. 24 hours. It's from even unto even. And if you get that, where do I get that from? Well, that's how the Father set it up in Genesis. See, when you look at Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1, looking at Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1. And Yah saw the light that it was good. And Yah divided the light from the darkness. And Yah called the light day and the darkness called night. Now watch this at the end. And the evening and the morning were the first day. It started with darkness. See, there was darkness first and then light. So that's how days go. Darkness first and then light. Y'all catch it? So it's a lunar, what they call a lunar calendar. Starts with darkness and ends with light. You got that? Okay. Everybody got that? So Friday night, Sabbath begins. Saturday night, Sabbath ends. And now Saturday night, you're really into what? Sunday, according to the Bible. Saturday night is Sunday. Okay. That's how the Bible does it. Okay. So just, all right. So y'all got that? So that's the Sabbath. And so the Sabbath is really a celebration. You try your best, just like you would do on a holiday. You try your best to set it up as best you can. But really what it's about is rest. It's really about rest. It's about relaxation. It's about honoring the Father in that space of time. Okay. Y'all got me? So it's not that difficult. People try to add all kind of rules and stuff to it. We get that from people that are really not Israelites, and y'all know who I'm talking about. We don't copy them. Don't look to them for your example. Even if you're doing something wrong, You're better doing it wrong, trying to go to your Father in heaven, than looking to heathen. Did y'all hear what I said? You're better doing it wrong, going to your Father and to his word for yourself, than going to the heathen. Don't do that. Don't look at the heathen as your example in anything. Okay? Praise the Most High. All right. So, yeah. So, some people, you shouldn't turn on lights. You shouldn't drive your car. Listen, it ain't about all that. It's about rest. It's about rest. It's about rest. It's about celebration. It's about a joy. Okay? Just like you would do on Christmas. On Christmas, you clean your house, don't you? You get the house clean, company might be coming. You got the special food out there, no ham, but you might have, you have your turkey, whatever out there. And then, you get everybody's festive, everybody's happy. And for the children, what I used to do for my little kids when they was little, now they all grown now. What I used to do, I take them out to park. They're kids. They got energy. They want to run. They want to jump. They want to climb, So I take them out to state forests. I mapped out different state forests around where we lived. We lived in Connecticut most of their childhood. And I'd map out different state forests in Connecticut. And we'd go there, and they looked forward to it. We had special sticks. They call them their Moses sticks. They had special sticks they would walk through. And we'd go walking down places, or we'd climb on things. And they'd name rocks after whatever they wanted to. We had this one rock they liked to climb on. They called it Mighty Rock. And sometimes I let them run someplace and I chase them and play hide and seek with them. That, was Sabbath. And they started looking forward to that. They started looking forward to it. So that's, you want to make it as joyful as you can. And then we started buying little Bible stories for them to watch on the video. We get Bible stories for them to watch. Even though they was all Caucasian actors, we give them Bible stories for them to watch on Sabbath. And sometimes we get educational stuff, like stuff about the civil rights movement, stuff about slavery, stuff like that. We give them stuff like that to watch on the Sabbath, so they can, get some education. So we trying to cover all the bases. You understand? That's what we was trying to do. We don't want the Sabbath to be drudgery. That's what people try to make it into drudgery. It shouldn't be drudgery. It should be joy. It should be happy. It should be light. There is no way that Christmas should be more joyful than Sabbath. It shouldn't be. Sabbath should be about joy. All the sons of Yah, when they saw him lay the foundations, started for joy, shouted for joy. Isn't that right? Praise the Most High. Okay. And of course, you do want to pray. You do want to read the scriptures. You do want to show that to your children. And we do that. We get around as a family and do that. We call it family worship, and we do that, on the Sabbath. We do all that. Okay. And so, that's how you do it. And if you get another family that wants to get together, y'all can get together, like I said, like it was Christmas. Except instead of saying Merry Christmas, you saying Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Ak, Shabbat Ish, Isha. That's what you're trying to do. And you're trying to leave all your burdens outside the Sabbath. Anything bothering you, all that, leave it out. And even if you need to go, the many times I've had things on my mind on Sabbath, and I know it would mess up. The devil uses stuff, brethren, that's going on in your life to mess up your Sabbath. He does that. That's his job. So what I would do oftentimes on Sabbath, even times me and my wife would have fights on Sabbath, I would go for long walks, man. And she too. But sometimes when we started maturing as a couple, we knew we was having issues on Sabbath, and we knew where it was coming from. So we go on long walks together. You'd be surprised. A long walk in fresh air, man. It's amazing what fresh air would do for your mindset. Just, so we would go for long walks and just get our mind clear. And we feel always 100% of the time feel better when we came back from the walk, so, and we'd walk anywhere from like 40 minutes to an hour and a half. We just walking sometimes, And so we go and that would clear up our minds of any troubles, any trials, any things going on, so that we can more fully enjoy the Sabbath. Sometimes we walk so much, we come back tired and go to sleep. But that's the whole point, isn't it? Unburden yourself. Unburden yourself on the Sabbath. See? So praise the Most High. So that's the Sabbath. That's not a feast. There are people that keep, try to say it's one of the feasts. As we're going to see, the Bible tells you it's not. It tells you what the feasts are. It tells you what they are. Now, the feasts were given to Israel. They were not given to any other people. They were given to Moses on Mount Sinai. Okay? So, therefore, without true Israelites, these feasts can't be kept. People might think they're doing something, but the feast wasn't given to them. It was given to Israel. Gentiles can partake with Israel. You're going to see what I mean in a few minutes, but Gentiles can partake, sure, with Israel. So let's let the Bible tell us how many feasts are there. Okay? Let's let the Bible tell us. And I've shown people this, and I've still had people say, but no, there's more. Listen. Read your Bible. Believe what it says. Start in Genesis. Go to Revelation. Do it again. Believe what it says. Okay? Don't argue with the Bible. I've had sisters try to argue with the Bible, man. Nah, I can't. There's 7. And I'm like, I'm showing you. Look. Exodus chapter 23. Now, in Exodus chapter 23, you have to understand Moses is on Mount Sinai. And Father Yah is giving him instructions. Okay? He's not on the ground. He's up there, in Mount Sinai receiving the commandments, statutes, and judgments from the Most High. This is where the Most High was giving these things to Israel. Okay, so Exodus chapter 23. Exodus 23. And y'all remember we read about the year of release, right? Like in a couple of chapters ago in Deuteronomy, we read about the year of release, right? I think it was chapter 15, right? All right, watch this. All right, so let's start at I'm going to start at verse 7, and I'm going to go down to verse 14 for context, okay? This is Exodus 23 from verse 7 to verse 14. Ready? Here we go. Keep thee far from a false matter, and the innocent and the righteous slay thou not. For I will not justify the wicked. And thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise and perverteth the words of the righteous. Gift in this case means a bribe. Also, thou shalt not oppress a stranger, for ye know in the heart of a stranger, seeing that ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. In 6 years thou shalt sow thy land, and thou shalt gather in the fruits thereof. But in the 7th year thou shalt let it rest and lie still, that the poor of thy people may eat. And what they leave, the beasts of the field shall eat. In like manner thou shalt deal with thy vineyard and with thy olive yard. 6 days thou shalt do thy work, and on the 7th day thou shalt rest. Thine ox and thine ass, that thine ox and thine ass may rest, and that the son of thy handmaid and the stranger may be refreshed. See, Sabbath is about refreshed. Okay? And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard in thy mouth. Watch this, verse 14. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. How many times? How many times did it say? 7? 10? How many times? Let's read it. Verse 14. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. How many times? This thing is messing. How many times, brother? I can't fix it right. 3. There you go. 3 times. Not 7, not 10, 3. Now, just for, let's make this plain. That means that there are only 3 feasts. You can see that. 3. Not 7, not 10, not 5, 3. Okay. Now he's going to tell you what those feasts are. Now, this is where people get confused. And I know it's a little fuzzy. It's all right. It'll catch up. This is where people get confused, because he uses different synonyms to say the same 3 feasts. Okay. Okay. What do I mean by synonym? That means he has more than one name for some feasts. And that's why people get confused and think there's more than 3, because they see the different names he uses for the same feast. And they say, oh, this is a different one. No, there's still 3. It says it very plainly 3. So now let's look at them. Let's go from verse 15 down to verse 17. That's Exodus chapter 23, 15 to 17. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. There's one, feast of unleavened bread. Got that? That's also known as the Passover. Same feast. Okay? Same feast. There's only 3. Remember that. Okay? Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed in the month of Abib. For in it thou camest out of Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. There's the feast of unleavened bread, otherwise known as the Passover. That's one feast. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labor, which thou hast sown in the field. That's called the Feast of Harvest. It's also called the Feast of Weeks. It's also called Pentecost. See, you understand why people start saying there's 7 when the Bible says there's only 3? Because it uses 3 different names for that feast. It says the Feast of Harvest, which is the first fruits. It also calls it the Feast of Weeks. It also calls it Pentecost, which means 50, because it's 50 days after the beginning of the Passover. So there you go. That's the second feast. And then it goes, the last one, verse 16, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, which thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the fields. Verse 17, again for emphasis, 3 times in the year, all thy males shall appear before the Most High Yahuwah. How many times? 3. It says it 3. Right there within, between verse 17 and verse 14. Within those 4 verses, it tells you twice. 3. And it tells you what they are. Feast of unleavened bread, Feast of harvest, and then it called a Feast of Tabernacles, also called the Feast of Ingathering. Same feast. Okay. 3. Right? Not 5, not 10, not 7, 3. Please read your Bible. And so you can see when you read your Bible that these are very plainly done, very plainly written. There'll be no, confusion about this. Okay. All right. I'm going to start in Leviticus 23. Now for this, I could probably find 2 or 3 witnesses, but I got to stick with Moses. Again, why do I stick with Moses? Because even though he's one witness, because these things were only given to Israel, and Moses was the servant the Father used to give these things to our fathers, right? So that's why. All right. So here in Leviticus chapter 23, Leviticus 23, beginning at verse 1, Leviticus 23, beginning at verse 1 and going down to verse 6. Leviticus 23, and I'm sorry it's blurry at this point. I can't do anything about that. I don't know why it's blurry. But anyway, Leviticus 23 from verse 1 to verse 6. Ready? And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of Yahuwah, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation, even these are my feasts. And these people get confused because of verse 3, after he said that. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein, is the Sabbath of Yahuwah at all your dwellings. And then verse 4, he says, these are my feasts. Why did he put the Sabbath in here, but it's not a feast? Let me explain. We are to keep the Sabbath no matter what. If the Sabbath falls on the feast, you're still keeping the Sabbath. If it doesn't fall on the feast, you're still keeping the Sabbath. That's what he's saying there. No matter what happens, every 7th day is a Sabbath. I don't care if it's what feast it is or what day of the feast it is. Every 7th day is a Sabbath. That's what he's saying. Y'all understand that? So that the Sabbath is not a feast. He's saying no matter what happens, no matter what time of year it is, every 7th day is a Sabbath. That's right. There you go. Now, verse 4. These are the feasts of Yahuwah, see? Even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. Here we go, verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month at even is Yahweh's Passover. See, he called it the Feast of Unleavened Bread in Exodus. But here he calls it Yahuwah's Passover, same feast. See, but because people see, oh, there's Passover here and unleavened bread, there's two different feasts. No, he told us plainly there are three. He told us plainly there are three. Okay, not 7. So you got to have 3, whichever 3 they are. Well, he says here, 14th day of the first month at even is Yahweh's Passover. The 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread. Until Yahweh's 7 days, you must eat unleavened bread. Same feast. 14th, 15th day of the first month. Okay. In the first day, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh 7 days. And in the 7th day is a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. There you have it. That is the first feast. Now, let me skip down because he goes into a wave offering, and I don't want to confuse you right now. So I want you to read that, but I don't want to confuse you right now. Okay. Now, let me see. I'm going to start at verse 15. This is the second feast. This is Leviticus 23. I'm going to begin at verse 15. I'm going to begin at verse 15. And I'm going to go down to verse 16, 15 and 16. Okay? There we go. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye bought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall ye complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto Yahweh. And then he goes into the offerings. There's your second feast right there. That's your second feast. Okay? Let me explain the wave offering. Please read it when you get a chance, but I'm going to explain it to you because it can be confusing. Please pray to your Father. Read it for yourself. Let him show you. Let me explain. In fact, let's use Messiah's actual death as the example of the wave offering. I think it'll be easier for us to understand because Messiah's death is the Passover, right? So Messiah, the Bible tells us, he would put an end to sacrifice and offering in the middle of a week. Say that in Daniel 9:27. He shall cause sacrifice and offering to cease in the midst of the week. In the middle of a week is 3.5 days. So you're talking about Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and half of Wednesday. That makes sense? So he was crucified 3.5 days. Wednesday, half the day, and Wednesday. Okay? He was crucified half the day on Wednesday. Right? The first 12 hours of Wednesday, he was crucified in that time. 3.5. All right? You got me? Now, that's the Passover. At that was the Passover. That was the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Wednesday afternoon. Okay, you got me so far? So now you go Thursday. It's Wednesday afternoon going into Wednesday evening. Then Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now, Saturday is the Sabbath. Okay, Saturday is the Sabbath, right? So you had, and I'm not talking about the ceremonial Sabbath of the Passover, which also happened. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about the wave offering right now. So let's stick with that. Don't get confused. So Wednesday afternoon, then you go Thursday, Friday, Sabbath, and now you have 3 days there, right? 3.5 days. Now, that Sabbath, they're going to keep that Sabbath. Then Sunday, the priest would take the first of barley harvest. At that time in the spring, they get barley first. He would take the barley and he would wave it before the Most High. The day after the Sabbath, that's Sunday. Okay. Then they would count 7 Sabbaths. From that first day of the week, they count 7 Sabbaths. So 7 weeks go by. 49 days. 7 days times 7 is 49 days. Then after that 7th Sabbath, after the wave offering, the first day after that is the 50th day. That day is Pentecost. Or otherwise, we just read it as Feast of Harvest. Did y'all catch that? Okay, so Wednesday afternoon, Messiah was crucified. So you get Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, then you get another half a day, and now it's Sunday. That Sunday, the feast would give a wave offering. Now, the wave offering represented the first fruits of the barley harvest. I'm not going to confuse you, but I'm going to tell you I'm going to tell you later what that means. But for now, it's the first fruits of the barley harvest. So they do what they call a wave offering before the Most High. Then they count 7 Sabbaths after that. So 49 days would go by. After the 49th day, the next day is the 50th day. That's the day of Pentecost. That's why they call it Pentecost, because it was 50. Penti means 50. Okay. It's also called the Feast of Harvest, as we saw in Exodus chapter 23. Okay. So that's what happened here. So they did the wave offering and they counted 50 days, and then you're at Pentecost. Okay. Everybody got me? All right. All right. So now, all right. Let's see here. Okay. Now, and then later, the third feast, which we saw was the Feast of Tabernacles, or the Feast of Ingathering is what they called it. Okay. Now here, you're going to call it the Feast of Tabernacles, beginning at verse 33. And there's something that comes in between it. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But beginning at verse 33 of Leviticus 23, and Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days. Okay, so you have your 3 feasts. There's your Feast of Unleavened Bread, starting with a Passover lamb, right? And it's 7 days. Okay. Then 50 days later, you have Pentecost. That's your second feast. Then in the 7th month and the 15th day of the month. Now, remember now, I told you it's a lunar calendar. In the lunar calendar, what phase of the moon is the middle of the month? 15th is middle of the month, right? So that's right. Feast. Well, 2 of them are, Ramana, not the Pentecost. Pentecost is 1 day. But so let me ask you now. So, what was I saying? Sorry about that. Okay, so what time of the month is the middle of the month according to the moon phases? It's okay. What time of the month is the middle of the month according to the moon phases? Y'all know? So the moon has different phases, right? There's several phases. That's right. Brother Gary Joseph, Brother Yahuwah, that's right. When you see the full moon, it's the middle of the month. That's the full moon. It's the middle of the month. Okay, that's the full moon. All right. Now, therefore, with that in mind, when we're looking at the Feast of Tabernacles in the 15th day of the 7th month, you would know what the full moon was, right? You would know what time that was because you would get the full moon, right? Y'all understand it? So in the full moon on the 7th month, that was the beginning of the Feast of Tabernacles. That makes sense, y'all? So there's your 3 feasts. Y'all got me? There's your 3 feasts right there. Okay. All right. So yes. So that, brethren, is your 3 feasts. Okay. So the middle of the month is your full moon. And if you think of the moon phases, you know, you get your, what they call a waxing crescent. That's when you first see the light on the right side of the moon. Y'all seen that before, I'm sure. So when you first see the light on the right side of the moon, the world calls that the waxing crescent or crescent moon. Then it goes till you get a half a moon, and then the light goes to its half, and then the light goes to its a full moon. That's 15 days. And then darkness starts to come. And so you get darkness coming across the moon till it gets half again, but this time the right side is dark and the left side is light. And then you get all the way to the end where you just see what they call a waning crescent, which is the light on the left side of the moon is a sliver of light that's got left. Y'all got that? Everybody? Okay. So those are the phases of the moon. So when it's full, when it's completely full moon, that's exactly the middle of the month. That's the 15th day of the month. So when he said Feast of Tabernacles in the 7th month, the 15th day of the month, now you know that is a full moon. Okay. That's a full moon. Same with the Passover. Right? So the Passover is the 14th day of the month at even when Messiah was crucified. The next day was the 15th day of the month. And guess what? That was a full moon. Okay. Everybody, you got me? That was a full moon. Okay. There you go. So now you have 3. Now, in between the 2nd and the third feast. There's this event that takes place. In between the second, so there's one feast, Passover, then you get Pentecost, 50 days later, and then you have the seventh month, the 15th day of the month, the Feast of Tabernacles. Now, in between the second and the third one, there's an event that takes place. And people call this event a feast. It's not a feast. Remember, there are only 3 feasts, and we just named them. So there's not a feast between the second and the third feast. There's an event, though, very important event that takes place. Let's read it here in Leviticus chapter 23. Okay, I'm going to start at verse 23. Leviticus 23, beginning at verse 23. Okay, and I'm going to start at verse 23, and I'm going to read down to verse 27 for now. Yeah. Okay, and Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you. Ye shall afflict your soul and offer an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah. Say, afflict your souls. That doesn't sound like a feast, does it? But have you ever heard people say, oh, it's time for the Feast of Trumpets? Have you ever heard people say that? There's no feast. What's going on? What happens? Well, on the 10th day of the 7th month, it just told us it's the Day of Atonement. That's the day for sin to be taken off the nation. And it's taken off of every individual in the nation. It's only for Israel. It's the sin taken off of Israel. That's the Day of Atonement. They're preparing for that 10 days before. Why? When you hear trumpets blowing in Israel, it's a warning of something, isn't it? Anytime trumpets are blowing in Israel, there's a warning. Sometimes it means for them to move if they're in the wilderness. Sometimes it means an enemy is coming. Sometimes it means to gather together. But the trumpet is a signal. Y'all got me? When the Israelites blow a trumpet, it's a signal. It means something. So here, on the 1st day of the 10th month, they blow trumpets, not for a feast. And not only do they blow trumpets, they keep it as a Sabbath. No matter what day it is, they're not working that day. Why? Because in 10 days, the Day of Atonement is coming. It's the day to take all sin off the nation. So you're beginning your preparation 10 days before. Does that make sense? So they blow the trumpet to let you know, stop everything you're doing right now and get ready for the Day of Atonement. Does that, y'all, okay? So now the 10th day of the 7th month is the Day of Atonement. That's when they're afflicting their souls. Let's read about it. The same here, Leviticus chapter 23. Leviticus chapter 23, going to begin at verse 28 and go down to verse 32. Leviticus 23 from 28 to 32. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is the Day of Atonement, to make an atonement for you before Yahuwah your Most High. For whatsoever so it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever so it be that doth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. Ye shall do no manner of work. It is a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even. See, it starts at sunset. From even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. So that was the day the high priest went into the most holy place of the sanctuary to make atonement for himself, for his family, and for the whole nation of Israel. That's the Day of Atonement. That is not a feast. That took place before the last feast of the year, which is the Feast of Tabernacles, otherwise known as the Feast of Ingathering. Ingathering and Tabernacles. Now, let's talk about what these feasts mean. All right. The Passover was instituted in Egypt. What was the institution, like what did they do for the Passover? Why is it called Passover? Why is it actually called Passover? Do y'all know why that feast is called Passover? Why is it called Passover? Why is it called Passover? That's right. That's right. Because there was a destroying angel. Let's read it. Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12, beginning at verse 1. Exodus chapter 12, beginning at verse 1. I'm going to begin at verse 1, and I'm going to read down from verse 1 down to verse 14. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel. And listen, y'all, before we go on, let me just ask you a question. What is another word for congregation again? Give me two more words for the congregation of Israel. What's another word for congregation that's commonly used today, but they are misusing it? What is that word? There are two more words for congregation. One of them is assembly. Church. There you go. The church of Israel and the assembly, right? So that's the only church there really is. Okay? There's no other church. It's the church of Israel. Let's keep going. Saying, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the soul. Every man according to his eating shall make your account for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. Ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole congregation of the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two posts on the upper doorposts of the houses wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh that night, roast with fire, unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat it not raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head and his legs, and with all with the pertinence thereof. Ye shall let nothing of it remain until morning. That which remaineth of it until morning ye shall burn with fire. Thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And ye shall eat it in haste. It is Yahuwah's Passover. I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn of land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute my judgment. I am Yahuwah. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when ye see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial. Ye shall keep it a feast unto Yahuwah throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. Now, so we're passing over the destroying angel, the blood of the lamb protecting them from being destroyed. The blood of the lamb protecting the chosen people from being destroyed. I think that's pretty obvious, right? John said, behold the Lamb of Yah that taketh away the sin of the world. So this Passover, this lamb represents Messiah. Is that pretty obvious? Right? The Passover lamb represents Messiah. Everybody got that? That's pretty easy, right? Pretty simple, right? Okay. All right. Okay. So now we know that the Feast of Unleavened Bread, also with the Passover, is a representation of Messiah. No leaven, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump, the Bible says. So you take away leaven, you take away sin. No leaven, and you have the blood of the Lamb. Okay? So sin is forgiven by the blood of the Lamb. So any rascal that was in the house with the lamb blood over it was saved from the destroying angel. So Messiah is the representation of the Passover and the lamb. Okay, we got that part. What about the Feast of Weeks, otherwise known as Pentecost? What does that represent? Well, remember the wave offering. So after the Sabbath, that Wednesday Messiah was crucified, Wednesday afternoon. Matter of fact, it was in the 9th hour. Now, let me explain what that means. In fact, we're going to read it. But in the Hebrew economy, the days were divided into equal parts. Okay. There was the first hour of the day, which is 6 a.m. There was the third hour of the day, which is 9 a.m. There was the 6th hour of the day, which is 12 noon. There was the 9th hour of the day, which is 3 o'clock. And then there was the 12th hour of the day, which is now the evening, is 6 o'clock. That's a new day. Okay, you got me? And then you have the first hour of night, third hour of the night, 6th hour of the night. It goes all the way till you get back to the first hour of the day. You got me? So Messiah died in the 9th hour. So therefore, it wasn't a new day yet. It was the 14th day. That night at 6 o'clock, it was now the 15th day. But he died on the 14th day, and it was 3.5 days in the middle of the week. Wednesday at 3 o'clock. That's when the Messiah was crucified. Okay, Wednesday at 3. Now, you had the Sabbath, then you had that wave offering. That Sunday, the priest did the wave offering. 7 weeks, 49 days till the Passover. Now, something happened. When Messiah, the wave offering, they call it the Feast of the First Fruits, Feast of Harvest. Matthew chapter 27. Matthew chapter 27. And I know what some of y'all going to ask. I'm ready for y'all. Matthew chapter 27. Now, I'm going to start at verse 45. Notice the time. That's why I gave you the time. So the first hour of the day is 6 a.m. The third hour of the day is 9 a.m. The 6th hour of the day, goes in 3-hour increments, is noon. They use sundials to tell time at that time. So the sun would tell you. So the sunrise, first hour of the day, 6 a.m. Then 3 hours later, 9 a.m. Then the sundial will go to the middle of the day, noon. 3 o'clock in the afternoon was the 9th hour of the day. So here you go. Matthew chapter 27. I'm going to begin at verse 45. From verse 45 and go down to verse 54. Okay, here we go. Now, from the 6th hour, there was darkness over all the land until the 9th hour. So darkness came on the whole land at noon. And about the 9th hour, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Yahuwah cried with a loud voice saying, Ali, Ali, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my most high, why hast thou forsaken me? Some of them that stood there, when they heard that, said, this man calleth for Allah. And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed to give him to drink. Vinegar was going to be a painkiller at that time. That's what vinegar was used for, to dull the pain. And the rest said, let be, let us see whether Allah will come to save him. And Yahuwah, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom. And the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose. Saints which slept rose from the grave, and came out of the graves after his resurrection into the holy city, and appeared unto many. And when the centurion and they that were with him watching Yahuwah saw the earthquake and those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, truly, this was the Son of Yah. So wait, the first fruits, the wave offering, what is that? It's those people that came out the grave. That's who it is. They came out the grave. Now, obviously, your Father's raising them from the dead. He not raising them from the dead to put them back to death. So where do you find them? What happened to them? Revelation chapter 4. Revelation chapter 4. Revelation chapter 4. Beginning at verse 1 and going down to verse 4. Revelation chapter 4, from 1 to 4. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. Immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. And round about the throne were 24 seats. And upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. What did Paul say was going to be waiting for him when he died? Crown of righteousness, which Yahuwah shall give him. Wait a minute. Let's go to chapter 5. Chapter 5. Revelation chapter 5. Let's read verse 9. Revelation chapter 5, verse 9. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to Yah by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. The 24 elders are the first fruits of Messiah's victory over death and sin. They represent the wave offering. Does that make sense, you know? They represent the wave offering. Okay? All right. Now, that is the second of the three feasts. But remember, there are three, and between the second and third, there's an event that takes place. Right? Between the second and third, there's an event that takes place. And we saw it. It's called the Day of Atonement. In the Day of Atonement, the sins of Israel are forgiven because a lamb is brought into the most holy place of the sanctuary. And all the nation is confessing their sins. When it says afflicting your souls, it means you're confessing your sins. You're humbling yourself. You're acknowledging your sin. You're confessing your sin. That's what it means to afflict your soul. That's what it's talking about. Not beating yourself up, okay? It's talking about, confessing sin. Confessing that you broke the covenant, okay? And then the blood is applied to you and to the whole nation, and sin is forgiven. Now, that took place in Revelation chapter 7. Revelation chapter 7. And it's supposed to be a day of atonement, right? That means it's just one day, the 10th day of the 7th month. In Bible prophecy, though, how long is a day? In Bible prophecy, how long is a day? When Bible talks in prophetic terms, how long is a day? Numbers 14:34. Ezekiel 4:6. That's right. It's a year. So it's a year. Now, after that year, the sins of Israel are forgiven and Israel is cleansed. Okay. So that when Messiah returns, he's taking back a sinless nation. Does that make sense, brethren? Okay. So when he's coming back, he's taking back with him a sinless nation. We're not going to walk into the kingdom with sin on us. Y'all understand that, right? Right. Okay. And that's because of the Day of Atonement cleansing the nation from sin. Okay. Let's look at the sixth seal, Revelation chapter 6, verse 12. The sixth seal, Revelation chapter 6, verse 12. And I'm going to read down to verse 17. Revelation chapter 6, from verse 12 to 17. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Okay, who shall be able to stand? Those, the Bible says, who shall dwell in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that hath what? Clean hands and a pure heart. That's what the Psalms tells us. Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that hath clean hands and a pure heart. How do you get that? By the blood of the Lamb. You get cleansed from your sin. The Day of Atonement cleanses you from your sin. So the question is asked, who shall be able to stand when the Messiah returns? Revelation chapter 7. Revelation chapter 7 from verse 1 to 4. The question is answered. Revelation chapter 7 from verse 1 to 4. And after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Most High. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Most High in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So the ones that are going to stand are the tribes of the children of Israel. Y'all got that? The 144,000 will be able to stand of Israel. Why? Because the Day of Atonement was given to who? It was given to who? Israel. Okay? So the warning is given to prepare to have your sin cleansed. Your sin is taken off of you. The whole nation is prepared. And then it goes through the 12 tribes. Now, after the Day of Atonement, is the Feast of Ingathering. Ingathering the harvest at the end of the summer. In the fall. Isn't that right? The fall comes and all of the harvest from the summer is gathered in. Is that correct? Is that true? I'm not even a farmer and I know that, right? So everything that grows all summer, in the fall, it's all reaped. And of course, that represents the saved. Therefore, the Feast of Tabernacles, the ingathering, is the return of Messiah. Let's take a look. Verse 9. We're going to go, we see the 12 tribes, right? Verse 9, Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people, and tongues stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, just like the 24 elders, and palms in their hands. What does the palms mean? Why would they have palms in their hands? Like, why would they, what's palms? Why do they have palms in their hands? What's that? Why did they do that? Now we're in Deuteronomy chapter 16. We're in Deuteronomy chapter 16. Oh man, I need to find it. Deuteronomy chapter 16. No, wait. I'm going to go back to our friends in Leviticus chapter 23. Leviticus 23. Yes, Leviticus chapter 23. I'm going to go to Leviticus. We're talking about the palms. Why is there palms? Leviticus chapter 23. Let's go to Leviticus 23. We'll see it there. Okay, Leviticus chapter 23. Yes. Leviticus 23. Excuse me. Leviticus chapter 23. All right. Beginning at verse 39, talking about the 15th day of the 7th month, the full moon, which is the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay. Leviticus chapter 23, beginning at verse 39. Watch for the palms. Are you ready? Watch for the palms. And in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto Yahuwah 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. And ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before Yahuwah your Most High. Rejoice. Now that's a feast. Rejoice before Yahuwah your Most High 7 days. Ye shall keep it a feast unto Yahuwah 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generation. Ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. That are all that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths. That your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahuwah. And Moses declared unto the children of Israel the feast of Yahuwah. So they have what? They have what? Palm branches. Back to Revelation chapter 7. Revelation chapter 7 and verse 9. And after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. What were they doing? Were they keeping a feast? Well, we would be celebrating with the Messiah and with Father Yah, wouldn't we? What? Wait, but specifically, when would we be celebrating with palms in our hands? What exactly would that be, brethren? That would be Feast of Tabernacles. Y'all catching that? Wait a minute. Revelation has 2 Feast of Tabernacle references at least. So, why? Because it's revelation of the Messiah, showing when he's returning. That's what. See, brethren, it's the revelation given from the Father. Messiah said, "No man knows the day or the hour but my Father." And Father going to reveal it to Messiah, and Messiah said, "Everything my Father showed me, I'm going to show you." See, most people banking on that no man know the day or the hour without having done what? Without having actually read the whole book. Because the book of Revelation is the revealing of the return of the Messiah. And he just showed us. It's in the Feast of Tabernacles. Isn't that something? Now, wait a minute. Revelation chapter 14. Revelation chapter 14. Beginning at verse 14. Watch again. This is the harvest. Feast of Tabernacles. Revelation chapter 14, beginning at verse 14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud. And upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. Now, question, brethren. Here's a dumb question. Bear with me, though. Bear with me. What do they use a sickle for again? What is the sickle for? What do they use that for? Like, what is the sickle for? Why would he have a sickle in his hand? What's that about? A sickle. What do you use a sickle for? There are countries that have the sickle in their flag. What is the sickle about? It's for gathering wheat harvest. It's for gathering wheat harvest. It's a harvest tool. It's a tool to harvest wheat, right? That's what it's for. So he has a sickle in his hand. Verse 15. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, "Thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe." And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle in the earth, and the earth was reaped. There you go, brethren. Feast of Tabernacles. Another reference to the Feast of Tabernacles. So we know what time of year the Messiah will return. And by the grace of the Most High, tomorrow, we're going to read Deuteronomy 16. Sorry we didn't get to it today. But we're going to read Deuteronomy 16. And not only will we know the time, we're going to know the year. Yes, indeed, brethren. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Praise the Most High. So now you understand that there's prophetic importance to the 3 feasts plus the Day of Atonement. There's prophetic importance to the 3 feasts and the Day of Atonement. Okay, there's prophetic importance to that. And so it all points to Messiah paying for the sins of his people. It points to the first fruits that are now in the kingdom with the Father, the 24 elders. It points to sin being taken off the nation and us being prepared to stand before the Messiah by the righteousness given to us as a gift from Father through Messiah. And then us being prepared, we become the harvest that Father used, that sends his son to come get us. Praise the Most High, sends his son to come get us. So the feasts are prophetic utterances. They are also signs. Now we're going to talk about keeping them and all of that tomorrow by the grace of the Most High. We'll talk about that. All right. But I just wanted to get you on that. And very important, as you can see, very important background on why they are and what they mean in terms of Israel and prophetic utterance. This is not given to any other people. What I just gave you, Father only gave to us. There's nobody else out here that's not an Israelite that's going to be able to teach this. I'm just telling you. And I'm not because I'm great. It's because of the Messiah only giving it to his cousins. That's why. Nobody else will understand this. Okay? They won't. Only Israelites. It's given to us to teach it. He's not revealing his return to everybody. Remember, he said, the revelation of Messiah, which Father gave him to show unto his servants. It's not for everybody. Most people won't even believe it. What I just showed you in the word, the heathen will fight it. I'm just telling you. Because it's not for them to know. Only those that are grafted in to this truth through Messiah and the Israelites that are awakened will understand this. If you understand it, you're one of the few on the planet. I'm just telling you. Just like if you read your Bible starting at Genesis and going to Revelation, very few people on planet Earth alive today have done that. Very few. Probably less than 1% of the whole Earth population. And the Bible is the most sold book. The King James Bible is the most sold book in history. There's no other book even close to the King James Bible. And so everybody get one, but not everybody read it. Okay? That's the way it is today. See? So, hey, is what it is, man. But this is all a sign. The fact that we're studying this, the fact that we're understanding it, that's Father giving us the sign. It's so exciting because he's showing us because it's soon to take place. We are living in the time when it's going to take place. Okay. Praise the Most High, yeah. So tomorrow we're going to go through Deuteronomy 16 and we're going to talk about the year. Okay. Okay. All right. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom.